Good afternoon. We're anxious to be back here in the office and back to work. Really a nice finish to the season. I was really proud of our team. It was an incredible ending to an exciting game. Beating Missouri, an SEC team. That was just such a huge feeling of accomplishment for our players. We hadn't won a Power Five game since 2017 against Duke, and have had lots of chances and come really close. And so really proud of our guys, particularly some guys down the stretch like Jabari Laws, who came in off the bench. And just, I couldn't be more proud and more happy for him and our team, and how excited they were for him in the locker room after the game. And then Cole Talley to nail that field goal to win the game. Just an incredible feeling, especially coming off of what was a disappointment, I guess 11 or 12 days before that, whatever it was, to finish the season like that. Just great for our seniors. They did a tremendous job leading our team all year long. And so nice to be able to go in the off season with a victory for sure. And we're anxious to get back to work, and our players are actually reporting back to campus today. Most of their classmates are back, and we'll be back in the weight room next week and getting prepared for 2022.
Gotta love that work ethic.
Well,
All right.
what are you going to do? Sit around and pat yourself on the back? That's not exercise. So we're going to get back to work.
Yeah, right away. Way to start the new year.
All right, Joe Iacato, kick things off.
Hey, Coach Monken, Happy New Year. Congratulations on another successful season. First question, obviously college coaching is kind of a 365-day-a-year job. What are the priorities for your program and your staff with some signings, official visits, whatever, as well as, like you mentioned, some strength and conditioning work? What are your priorities for the first quarter of 2022?
In the immediate right now is to get going with recruiting. We've got an official visit this coming weekend, and we have one every weekend through the month of January. So we got a lot of work to do there. And it's gone well. We've gotten several commitments in the early signing period, but now it's closing this thing out, and we're going to have to put our dukes up and go to battle with some other programs to get this recruiting class finished out. But for guys to be able to come to Army, I mean, this is one of the most successful college football programs in the country over the last 5 years. So they're joining a great program with a tremendous institution to be able to call their alma mater. And so we're excited about that and getting guys on campus and sharing this incredible place with them and their families. Our players obviously coming back. We're going to meet with them tomorrow and kind of send our seniors off. We will have a banquet here in a few weeks, but just one last time to get together and congratulate those guys on a great career. And then we'll get to work on our off-season program, which will begin next week officially. So I know our young guys, our returning players, are anxious and ready, and we're excited to get them back.
Thanks. And then my follow-up and final question, Coach. When you're a successful program, like you mentioned, as Army's been over the past 5 years, part of I don't really want to call it a negative, but kind of part of one of the weird consequences of that is you have a lot of your staff members who get other opportunities and get hired other places. The last couple of weeks, you've lost Coach Tuatelli on the offensive line and Coach Wood on the defense to a defensive coordinator opportunity with Troy. What is the plan to replace those two?
We've already started to work on that. I know we can't make any official announcements. It takes us a while here to be able to make official announcements, but we've got a replacement in place already for one of those positions, and we expect to have the other one filled here in pretty short order. So The great thing is it's a great place to work. It is a desirable place for people to come and seek employment, and it's an exciting time to be, or exciting to be a part of Army football at this time in our history. And so I think there's the ability for us to go out and to be able to attract very talented people, and that's one of the great things about Army and about this academy is I think we don't have to settle. We can get really good people, and we have high standards, and we're going to take the time that we need to be able to replace people when we lose them. So it's tough to lose good coaches. It's one of the most difficult things probably, I think, in my job, is to replace good people, because you want to get people as good or better than the ones you lost. And sometimes we're able to, and sometimes it's, there's just certain things people do as recruiters or as coaches or as people that make them really dynamic. And I think we lost two really good coaches in Coach Wood and Coach Tuatelli, and good people. But I'm confident we're gonna get some great people to take their place. And like I said, one of those positions already been filled.
Ken McMillan.
Hey, Jeff, Happy New Year. Jeff, as far as following up on Joe's question about recruiting, can you tell us about your approach? I mean, I figure how an SEC team recruits is different from West Point. Is it really you go for the best possible candidate, those who can qualify academically and such? And secondly, what are the priorities as far as recruiting goes for the next class?
You'd be surprised how similar it is to other colleges. We're seeking the same things. We're seeking people who are highly qualified as both students and as athletes. And if they aren't a good enough football player to help us win at this level, then the conversation is going to stop right there. It doesn't matter how good a student they are or how interested they are in West Point. If they're not good enough to help us win, then we're not going to recruit them. So they've got to be a good enough football player. But then along with being a good enough football player, they've got to be able to gain admission into the academy. And we've got to either educate them on West Point so that they do have an interest. There's very few guys that we recruit that already have an interest in. We don't meet many guys that say West Point was my dream school, and they're getting recruited by tons and tons of FBS football programs. That's no knock on West Point or the Army. It's just not common. And I think that's for a lot of reasons. But the service piece beyond graduation is so different from a traditional school that sometimes young men and their families just need to be educated on that. They don't have any idea what that looks like or what that's all about. So a lot of it is finding the right guys and then educating them about West Point. And it turns out there's a pretty big pool of guys that we think can contribute and help us and have an interest. So that doesn't mean there aren't interests from other colleges. There's still other colleges that will recruit those guys, and other academies that try to recruit them as well. And so we find the right guys and give it our best shot. And so far, we've had enough guys that it's worked out pretty good for us. So I like the efforts of our staff. I think we put as much effort into recruiting here as maybe anybody in the country. And I mean, the time that we spend and the volume that we go through is pretty incredible. But what's unique about the academy is that, we don't have 25 initial scholarships like a traditional college. We don't have the transfer portal open to us. It is, but not many guys are going to transfer from another college and start over as a freshman, and which is what they'd have to do here at the academy. So the transfer portal isn't an option for us. Obviously, the academics are our priority, so we've got to find a pool of guys there. But we don't sign 17, 18, 22 guys like some colleges are. We're going to sign a full class at an academy, which means we're going to send guys to our prep school enough that we've got a whole team to field, because we play a full season at our prep school. And then we bring some guys in direct, guys that academically can qualify to come straight from high school into the academy. We'll bring guys in that way too. So it's every year we're bringing guys in at every position. There's no necessarily this is a priority position and we're going to bring in guys at this position over another position. It's just a different model for recruiting, and it's probably shared by the other academies and pretty unique to what we and the other academies do.
Just to follow on what you just said about you recruit all positions. In your course of your time here, though, do you tend to recruit one position more than another? Do you say that, hey, we have to get a bunch of quarterbacks in and we got to get a bunch of linebackers in and then go from there, or not?
I think we try to find guys that are versatile, that have position flexibility. And I'm sure probably a lot of people are looking for guys like that, but that certainly helps, finding guys that you think can play multiple positions and one side of the ball or the other. They can play multiple defensive positions, or they can play multiple offensive skill positions, or it's a guy that we think can play on either side of the ball. So those guys are usually a priority for us.
Thanks, Jeff.
Graham Knight, go ahead.
Hey, I think the trend line here is to pile in on Joe's question. Kind of continuing with recruiting, Coach, one of the impetuses for having the Commanders Classic in Arlington, Texas was recruiting. And I know we're just a couple months away from that game, but I'm kind of curious, A, how exactly does that help Army recruit? And B, any indication of if it's helped yet or how it's going to help?
Oh, I think it helps. I think it helps that we're a national team, that we play all over the country. And that's unique to us. We're the only academy that does that. Essentially the Air Force is a West Coast team, and they the only time they travel this direction is when they play the other academies. The Navy's an East Coast team, and we play all over the country. So I think that's appealing to prospects around the country. And we got to play twice in Texas, once in the Commanders Classic, as you mentioned, in Arlington, and then to go back and play in a bowl game. So that had an impact. We had guys that we're recruiting from the state of Texas that were at both of those games. And it's nice to have guys there when you win, that's for sure. So hopefully it was impactful.
Yeah, and just a quick follow-up to that, does having a Commanders Classic, something like that in Texas, is that help recruiting because it gives the Texas recruits a big stage to perform on in Texas, or does it help attract more people? Pretty, large military installations down there. I'm just curious exactly how it helps.
I think on both fronts, certainly to be in front of our men and women who serve, that are in the Army. There are a lot of Army bases down there and a lot of families. We've got a lot of alumni from West Point in Texas. Every time we play in Texas, we seem to draw a very big crowd. So I think that's certainly a positive. Maybe don't get as many as we get at home, which is why I like to play those games at home. And when we play the academy matchup at home, we usually have oversold crowd. We got to sell out and then some. It's nice to have our home field or our own locker room and feel like we got that home field advantage. But I think there's benefit to playing in those kinds of venues too for our players, and it's just a neat experience and a great opportunity, and so they did a great job with it, first class, and obviously getting the win down there was a big win for us, and it makes it seem like it was a much better experience than had we been on the losing side of it.
Ken McMillan.
Jeff, if we can go to a review of this past season, what's your big picture sense of 2021? Was it a success, a rousing success, or do you still have those regrets like, we could have done a little better?
Oh, I always have regrets that we could have done a little better. I've never been a part of an undefeated season in all the years I've coached. So there's always something out there that we can be better at. And, I think probably if we went undefeated, I'd probably find things in certain victories that we could have done better. So there's always areas for improvement. I was really proud of our team. I was really proud of our team, the way they responded after losing those 3 games in the middle of the season, and the way we battled against a great, what I considered a great Wisconsin team, and they were physical. That's a talented, good football team, and then Wake Forest, who was into the top 10, and that's a really good football team. They won 11 football games, and I think really talented and well coached, and it's a loss. I'm not happy about either one of them, but our guys just they played like they belonged there and believed they were going to win, and then to win those games down the stretch, to answer those 3 losses with a win down in Arlington over Air Force was big, and then to answer the Army-Navy loss like we did with a win in the bowl game. And it wasn't an easy win. It wasn't a walk-off. I mean, we were having to slug that thing out all the way to the end and come from behind, and just really proud of our team and the way we finished. I'm sorely disappointed about losing the Army-Navy game, but that's going to be the case, I think, no matter what. If we won every other game and lost that one, there'd be a great disappointment. And we want to win that game. We want to win the trophy outright. We didn't get it done, and that's disappointing. But there are a lot of other things along the way that I'm really proud of with our team, and I mentioned our seniors and how well they led us, and that was right through the last game. They all played, and they were all there, and they were all in, and it took some of those seniors to win that game for us. I mean, as Jabari was taking us down the field, you got guys like Cam Holloway and Noah Knapp and Dean Powell and Zach Ward that are seniors that are in there picking up all the blitzes and the twists, and Kate Barnard. Those are seniors playing their last game, and they gave him the time and helped him get the ball down the field. Brandon Walters coming up with that touchdown catch. That's a guy playing his last football game. So, and defensively too, there's guys playing their last game. I'm really proud of how they answered the in that last game.
Aside from wins and losses, where did this team overperform or surprise? And if you don't mind, where did this team underperform this year?
Overperform.
Maybe like surprise. You were like hoping for something, but got something better.
I don't know. I mean, individual guys, Andre Carter. We always felt like Andre was going to be a good player, but the way he performed this year with all those sacks. That was, really a pleasant surprise. And I wouldn't have guessed that he would be up there and, be the top sack or the sack leader for the NCAA, or maybe he's number 2 right now. I don't know, but I mean, either way, it's pretty good performance there. Cole Talley, 2 years ago, he's a freshman and he's kicking against Michigan, and he gets hurt and he's out most of the year. And last year he's out the whole year. And for him to come back and play the way he did, it was a pleasant surprise. The way those 3 quarterbacks performed. Christian Anderson played his best football this year. He's had some good games, but this year was the best season that he's played. There were some things that he'd like to have back, and everybody makes some mistakes, but the confidence he played with, just really, really a great surprise. So, I mean, there's some individual guys like that, and I can go on and on. There's several. Underperformed. I mean, yeah, I think in every one of the losses, we find things we wish we would have done better, or plays we wish we would have made, and, credit the other teams. The other teams made plays and beat us. They got guys on scholarship too. So there's a lot of things probably that we could have controlled, and we didn't do a very good job of that in some of those losses. But there were some victories where we didn't do that either, and we still got away with it. We found a way to win. So it's hard to play perfect. But overall, I'm proud of our team, and I'll never ever be completely satisfied that we've accomplished all that we can. Just like I said, we go undefeated, and there'll still be things where you feel like you could play better. So I think it's just the nature of being a coach or being in a leadership position.
Jeff, obviously the quarterback position is always front and center with everybody. You lose Christian, you lose Jabari. How do you feel about the quarterbacks going into next year? And would you anticipate using a similar format this year with the 1, 2, or 3 quarterbacks being utilized? Because that was something that you had not embraced before, but kind of had to, and you said it turned out well. So what's your early thoughts on how you want to use quarterbacks in 2022?
I think those guys did a really good job, and what we had was a couple of starting quarterbacks, guys that had been in games, had started games, had been the guy, and so we really had, obviously with Jabari Laws having been out, but he was a starter 2 years ago and had earned that in 2019. And you had Christian Anderson and Tyler Tyler both started games, so we really had a luxury of having some guys with some confidence and some experience. Obviously, having Tyre back next year is going to be great for us. I'm excited about his development, just how much he's improved, and he's such a competitive kid, and he's a great kid. Just fun to be around, and makes everybody feel good and lifts everybody's spirits, and I think pulls the best out of other people, which is a great quality for a quarterback. And I'm excited about the guys we've got that are in the program. Cade Ballard, who will be back. And Cade is a guy that has had all kinds of success as a starting quarterback. As a high school quarterback, he started 2 games here for us last year. We won them both. Jamel Jones, who I think is very talented. Maurice Ballon. And then there's some young guys. So Bryson Daly, who's a kid from Abernathy, Texas, was on our scout team essentially all this year. Really tough, physical player. There's some guys, some young guys coming up in the program that I'm going to be excited to see develop and see what they look like. There's Gary Phillips, Oh, who else we got that's coming up at that position that and they're all slipping my mind right now. But I mean, there's some young guys that I'm excited about, and they're going to develop. They're just like the quarterbacks that we played with this year. They weren't ready as freshmen, but they're going to be ready.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, we'll do a few more for Coach. John Kikis.
Hey, Coach. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
I'm just curious. I was never asked. What do you do to relax, and how often do you relax?
Work out every morning at 6 a.m. Pack lunches, take my kids to the bus stop. I love doing that.
About traveling.
I went to Illinois for the holidays. My family lives, that's where I grew up. So got a chance to see my folks and my sister and brother and their families. And that was relaxing. That was nice. I mean, I got to tell you, John, there's some angst always in my job. I don't know that as a head coach, I ever truly relax. And you probably ask a lot of head coaches the same. They'd probably tell you the same. And I envy those people that can completely put it down and put it away. But I have a difficult time doing that. But it's the sense of responsibility that I feel as the coach, and just knowing all the things that need to be done and the decisions that need to be made. And we got done with the game, and I started thinking about all we have to do with recruiting and all we've got to do with, obviously a couple of coaches that we've got to replace, and spring practice and the guys coming back, and it's just the nature of it. So, but I do like to travel with my family, and we get away at spring break and the holidays, and it's important for me to do that with them. I can't be at work all the time. I enjoy being a dad. It's the we were down there in Jersey City Friday night after the meeting, and there was a guy there from Football Scoop that was following us, and he asked me what I was going to do now the rest of the night. I said, I'm going to take my daughter to the swimming pool, and I did. I mean, I was thinking about the game. I was watching her swim, and and that's fun, and it's fun for her. It's fun for me to be there with her. But that's it. It's important to do that. I don't have a more important job than being a dad or being a husband. Those are the most important jobs I got. But there's a lot of responsibility in being a head coach, and so it's hard to put it away, hard to put it down. But when I come here to work, I don't stop being a dad. I don't stop thinking about my daughter and thinking about her at school and how she's doing at school. And I got 3 of them. So, we just balance it.
Thanks, Coach.
The last 2 questions for Coach. We'll go Graham Knight, and then we'll close out with Ken McMillan.
Coach, we talked a little bit about priorities and look back at 2021. Army football has been fairly innovative. You think back to Red Blake and the start of the offensive platoons and then the defensive platoons, and Vince Lombardi was there with the T formations. What kind of innovations are we going to see out of Army football as the 2022 season starts?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that we're gonna change what we do. We do what we do here schematically for a reason. I think it gives us the best chance to win. And I watch college football intently, and we're committed to running the ball and stopping the run. At least we try. We try to do that, and we don't always succeed. We're not always more successful than our opponent in doing those things, but we strive to. But I watch college football, and I think the Alabama game the other night, they started the game with 10 straight running plays. I watched the Baylor game the other night, and it was in the 4th quarter, and I think they finished with 32 yards passing at Baylor, but they ran the ball effectively. We present it differently. We might look different to everybody else, but I think that wins football games. And the majority of college football games are won by the team that wins the rushing contest. If you run for more than your opponent, you got a better chance to win. Doesn't mean you win all the time, but you got a better chance to win. So I don't know if that's innovative or not. It's just fact. And we're going to do everything we can to try to win the game, just to try to have one more point. We're not. We don't have schemes. We don't call plays or call defenses or do things because we think there's going to be a fan appeal or people like watching this, or we do it because we think it's going to help us win. And if we win, that should be appealing enough. So I guess comparatively speaking to where Army has been in the decade before I came here, we're probably innovative because we're winning a heck of a lot more games. So that's the bottom line, and that's all that really matters. And that doesn't have anything to do with me. That has to do with our players and the execution and our coaches who are preparing those guys. So if we can continue to do that, then that's all I really care about.
Yeah, well said. Hey, best of luck in 2022. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Last one for Coach, Ken McMillan.
Jeff, 2 orders of business. Do you have spring dates? Have you replaced Tennessee on the schedule? And the big question is, do you have other position emphasis or concerns for spring ball?
We have replaced Tennessee. Didn't we put that out already?
We did.
Eric?
Villanova.
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure we were okay to do that.
Yep.
And then sorry, so we had the spring dates. I don't have those in front of me. It's going to be March and April, late March and April. And I'll have Eric get those out to you, just exactly when we're going to start. It'll be after our spring break. Will be the bulk of it. We may have a practice or 2 before spring break, but we tried it really, really early, and the weather's just so unpredictable up here. We've done it really late and pushes us, a little bit in recruiting. So we'll probably finish in mid-April, kind of like we have in the past, and allow our coaches to get out on the road recruiting. And then in the spring, I think we're going to be replacing some guys, obviously, those quarterbacks that we talked about, and it'll be good to get those guys I mentioned that don't have as much experience an opportunity to perform and see what they can do leading the offense. There's going to be some offensive alignment to replace, a few skill guys that we need to replace. Defensively, right up the middle, Nolan Cockrell, Eric Smith, Cedric Cunningham. 3 really important players on our defense. And so finding replacements for those guys is going to be critical for us. But that's what spring is for. Spring's to develop those guys and develop the young guys and find out about our team and find out about individual players, which we will. And hopefully that, that'll be, something we'll feel better about after the spring on where we're headed into the 2022 season.
Thanks, Jeff.